The night sky stretched wide above the training ground, stars burning bright like tiny fires scattered across the darkness. A cold wind blew through the rocky valley, carrying strange scents from the wilderness. Around a small campfire, a group of young human cadets sat close together. They were far from home, deep inside an alien jungle world chosen for their survival trial. To them, this was supposed to be only a test, to prove they could endure hunger, heat, and the unknown. But tonight, something else stirred in the shadows. The jungle was alive with noises, distant calls, rustling leaves, the hiss of unseen creatures moving in the dark. Yet there was another sound, softer, quieter, almost hidden. Heavy breaths, careful steps, the sound of something watching, something hunting. Cadet Thomas, the youngest of the group, had cut his hand earlier while sharpening his knife. The wound was small, but the blood still stained the bandage around his palm. He thought nothing of it. He had no idea that in this world, even a single drop of blood was enough to call the deadliest predator of the galaxy. From the tree line, two golden eyes glowed faintly. The apex predator, a beast feared across countless worlds, crept closer. Its body was covered in black scales that shimmered under the starlight. Its claws dug silently into the dirt as it moved with terrifying grace. Taller than a man, stronger than a tank, it was a creature that had slaughtered entire hunting teams of alien soldiers. Whole species had learned to avoid its territory. To face it meant only one thing: death. Now it was here, moving toward the cadet camp, drawn by the scent of blood. The cadets laughed nervously around the fire, telling stories to distract themselves from the loneliness of the night. None of them noticed the silence that slowly replaced the jungle noises. Birds had stopped calling. The wind had gone still. Even the insects seemed to vanish into the soil. Nature itself bowed to the presence of the predator. But then one of the cadets, Mara, sharp-eyed and alert, froze. She felt it first, that strange pressure in the air, like something unseen was staring directly at her soul. Her hand went to her weapon, and she whispered, "Something's out there." The others quieted, listening, but they heard nothing, only the crackle of fire, only the slow beating of their own hearts. Then the predator moved. A shadow, larger than any they had ever seen, shifted at the edge of the firelight. Its golden eyes reflected the flames. Its massive head lowered as it sniffed the air, tracking the source of the blood. The cadets stiffened, fear locking their bodies in place. Training had taught them to stay calm, to analyze, to act with discipline, but training had never prepared them for this. The beast stepped forward, silent as a ghost, its muscles rippling with deadly strength. Its nostrils flared as it caught the scent stronger now. Its gaze locked on Thomas, the cadet with the injured hand. The boy froze, his eyes wide, his body trembling. The predator came closer, its jaws opening slightly, rows of sharp teeth glinting. In the firelight, this was the moment the galaxy always spoke of. When the predator found prey, there was no escape, no hope, only death. But what happened next broke every law of nature, every rule the galaxy thought it understood. The predator stopped. It leaned closer, its breath hot against Thomas's face. It sniffed the bandaged hand, the blood beneath. For a long, terrible second, the world seemed frozen. The cadets held their breath, certain they were about to watch their friend ripped apart. Then the impossible happened. The predator backed away. Slowly, carefully, it lowered itself to the ground. Its golden eyes never left the cadet, but instead of striking, it rolled slightly onto its side, its massive body going still. It did not attack. It did not roar. It pretended to be dead. The cadets stared in shock. Their weapons shook in their hands, but none of them dared move. They had all heard stories of this predator's savagery. They had seen hollows of its hunts, where even armored soldiers screamed before it tore them apart. And now here it was, lying motionless before a single human cadet, as if admitting defeat without a fight. Thomas's breath came in sharp gasps. He didn't understand. He couldn't. Why would the galaxy's most dangerous predator bow to him? He was just a boy from Earth, still learning, still weak compared to trained soldiers. But the predator's reaction was clear. It had sensed something in him, something deep in his blood, something that made even the apex predator of the galaxy afraid. The camp remained silent. The fire cracked softly, the only sound in the night. The cadets exchanged wide-eyed looks, their fear slowly turning into awe. Mara whispered, her voice shaking, "It's pretending. It's playing dead." Her words spread through the group like lightning. The realization hit them all at once. The predator wasn't retreating. It wasn't wounded. It was submitting. It was faking its death to avoid combat with a human. No one in the galaxy had ever seen such a thing. No report, no story, no rumor had ever spoken of this predator yielding. Yet here it was, bowing before a cadet. Somewhere, hidden among the stars, alien observers watched the trial. Their screens flickered with the image of the predator lying down before a boy. Their voices trembled with disbelief. Empires that once feared the predator now whispered in shock. If this beast, the terror of the galaxy, feared humans, what did that mean for the future? The cadets did not know it yet, but this night would be remembered across the stars. A legend was born, not of the predator but of humanity, and all of it began with a single drop of blood. The campfire burned low, its orange glow flickering across the cadets' faces. No one spoke. The predator lay in the dirt like a shadow of death, its golden eyes half closed, its chest rising and falling with slow, steady breaths. To any other species, the sight would have been victory, the great beast defeated. But the cadets knew better. It was not dead. It was pretending because of them. Cadet Thomas still sat frozen, his injured hand trembling at his side. He could feel the heat of the predator's breath on his skin, though it had stopped only an arm's length away. His heart pounded so loud he thought the others could hear it. He wanted to run, but his legs would not move. Fear locked him in place. Yet deep inside, another feeling began to rise, a strange sense of power, as if the beast's submission had passed some unspoken truth into him. The other cadets whispered among themselves, their voices shaking. "Why didn't it attack?" one asked. "It's never done this before." Mara shook her head. Her eyes were locked on the predator, her hands tight on her weapon. "It's not afraid of anyone," she whispered, "but it's afraid of us, of him." She pointed slightly toward Thomas. The words felt unreal, but they hung in the air like a spell. Could it be true? Could a human cadet, barely trained, carry something in his blood that even the galaxy's most feared predator could sense? The predator shifted slightly, its claws digging into the dirt, but it did not rise. Its tail twitched once, then stilled. Its body language was clear to anyone who knew animals. Submission. The cadets had studied predator psychology in training, but never in their wildest dreams had they seen the greatest of all predators choose to play dead. Hidden high above the planet, in orbit, a group of alien observers watched through cloaked satellites. They were officials, scientists, generals, each one representing empires that had long feared this predator. Their voices filled the quiet observation halls. "This cannot be true. It is a trick." "No. Look closer. It is yielding. It knows the boy's scent." The data poured in. Heartbeats, chemical readings, behavior analysis. Every number confirmed the impossible. The predator's body chemistry had spiked with fear the moment it smelled the human cadet's blood. Not instinct to kill, but instinct to survive. Something buried deep in its genes told it, do not fight this one. Do not risk it. Back on the ground, the cadets slowly began to move. One by one, they stood, keeping their weapons aimed, but their eyes locked on the beast. Should we kill it? One asked. His voice was tight, caught between terror and pride. No, Thomas whispered. His voice was shaky but strong enough to stop them. If it wanted us dead, we'd already be dead. Look at it. It doesn't want to fight, it's choosing not to fight. The cadets exchanged nervous glances. They had been taught to fear predators, to never hesitate, to always strike first if given the chance. But something about the moment felt different. This was not prey before them. This was not a simple victory. This was recognition. Mara's voice cut the silence. It knows what we are. The fire crackled. Thomas swallowed hard. And what are we? He asked. Mara looked around at the others, then back at the predator lying in the dirt. Her answer was simple, but it carried weight heavier than any weapon. Deathworlders. The word chilled the air. Humanity had always been called that by others, a species born from a dangerous planet filled with storms, beasts, and endless struggle. But it was usually spoken as an insult, a warning. Now, in this moment, the word became something else. It became truth, proof. Even the apex predator of the galaxy could sense it. Above them, the alien observers argued furiously. This changes everything, one whispered. If a human cadet carries such power in his blood, then trained human soldiers. He trailed off, unable to finish. The thought was too terrifying. Another replied, his voice low with dread. The predator was the measure of strength in this galaxy. If humans surpassed it, then humanity may become the new terror. The galaxy will not be the same. On the ground, Thomas finally stood, his legs weak but steady. He stepped closer to the predator, his friends gasping in fear. The beast did not move. Its eyes flicked upward for only a moment, then back down, its body still pressed to the earth. Thomas raised his bandaged hand and held it inches from the predator's nose. The beast sniffed once, then turned its head away. Refusal, submission. The cadets' fear shifted slowly into awe. They were witnessing history, though they did not fully understand it yet. Humanity was no longer just another new species trying to survive among the stars. They had proven something far greater, that they carried within them the power to make even monsters bow. The night dragged on, heavy with silence. None of them slept. The predator remained where it was, unmoving, as if guarding the camp instead of hunting it. And in that quiet darkness, one thought echoed in every heart. If this was what a single cadet could inspire, what would happen when the galaxy faced all of humanity? By morning, the jungle was alive again. Birds screeched from the treetops, strange creatures slithered through the tall grass, and the wind carried the smell of wet soil and smoke from the campfire. But for the cadets, the world no longer felt the same. What they had seen in the night haunted their minds, the apex predator, the galaxy's nightmare, lying down and playing dead in front of a single human boy. The predator was gone now. Sometime before dawn, it had slipped back into the jungle, leaving no sound, no trace, as if it had never been there. But the memory lingered like fire. The cadets whispered among themselves, voices hushed as if the trees were listening. "Did you see its eyes?" one cadet said. "It was afraid," another replied. "No," Mara corrected. Her voice was sharp, certain. "It wasn't just afraid. It respected him." All eyes turned to Thomas. The boy shifted uncomfortably, his bandaged hand clenched at his side. He didn't feel like a hero. He didn't feel strong. But the others looked at him differently now, like he carried something they could not explain. High above, in orbit, the alien observers studied the recordings again and again. Every movement, every breath of the predator was analyzed. Data streams filled the screens, but no matter how they measured it, the truth was the same. The predator had chosen submission. One scientist, his skin pale and trembling, whispered, "It smelled the boy's blood." And something in it told the beast to stop, not instinct to attack, but instinct to surrender. A general slammed his fist on the table. "Impossible! That predator has killed more soldiers than any army. It cannot fear a child." But the evidence was undeniable. The predator's heart rate had spiked the instant it sniffed the blood. Its muscles had tensed, not to strike, but to retreat. Its body chemistry screamed of survival. The beast had recognized something it could not fight, something that came from Earth. The whispers spread quickly beyond the observation deck. Messages raced across hidden networks, carried to alien councils and secret military leaders. Rumors became reports. Reports became fear. In one council chamber, a ruler with silver skin and sharp eyes leaned forward. If even a cadet can trigger such fear, then what of their soldiers? What of their armies? What will happen when humanity marches across the stars? Silence followed. The galaxy had always seen humans as dangerous in theory, death-worlders, born from a savage planet, but no one had ever proven it. Now proof existed, proof that even the deadliest predator of the galaxy bowed before them. Back on the surface, the cadets broke camp in silence. They moved carefully through the jungle, every shadow reminding them of the beast. Yet strangely, none of them feared it anymore. They feared something else. They feared themselves, or rather, what they might become. Mara walked beside Thomas, her voice low. "Do you understand what you did?" Thomas shook his head. "I didn't do anything. I was just bleeding." She stared at him, her expression unreadable. "No, Thomas, that thing saw something in you, in us, maybe in every human, something the galaxy doesn't want to admit." The group marched on, but the weight of her words followed them. That night, far from the cadets, the predator stalked through the jungle alone. It killed other creatures easily, its claws and teeth flashing in the moonlight. It tore through armored hides, snapped bones like twigs, feasted on prey without hesitation. It was still the apex predator of this world. But when the scent of human blood lingered faintly in the wind, it stopped. It froze, and then, once again, it lowered itself to the ground, pretending to be dead, even though no humans were near. Its instincts had changed forever. The galaxy learned of this too. Probes captured the behavior, broadcasting it in secret channels. Predators did not pretend. Predators attacked, ruled, conquered. For one to yield so completely meant only one thing. There was something greater in the stars now, something the galaxy had underestimated. The whispers turned to warnings. Fleets that had once ignored humanity began to take notice. Generals drafted new war plans. Politicians argued over alliances. Traders whispered in fear at spaceports. One line spread faster than light itself. The predator played dead before a human cadet. On Earth, the cadet's survival trial was supposed to be just another test forgotten by history. But now it was no longer just training. It had become the spark of a legend. In every corner of the galaxy, species that once mocked humans as reckless or weak began to reconsider. Some felt fear, some felt respect, others felt both. And still, Thomas walked with his group, unaware of the storm his blood had started. He was just a boy trying to survive the trial, but the galaxy was already changing around him. The predators. Bao had shaken everything, and soon humanity would realize the weight of that moment, that the galaxy's balance had shifted with a single drop of blood. The predator was captured 3 days later. Alien hunters, armed with traps forged from energy nets and plasma cages, had tracked it through the jungle. They risked their lives, losing several in the process, but in the end the beast was dragged into containment. Its roar shook the valley as it fought the restraints, but even bound in steel and fire, it looked unstoppable. For years, this predator had been the galaxy's ultimate nightmare, feared by soldiers, studied by scientists, worshipped as a force of nature. Now, for the first time, it was brought into a controlled arena, not to kill, not to destroy, but to test. High above, in an orbital station, representatives of powerful empires gathered in silence. They filled a vast chamber, their eyes locked on the screens that showed the predator pacing inside its reinforced cage. Sparks of energy flared as it struck the walls, teeth gnashing, claws scraping. Its fury was endless. The lead scientist, his voice steady, though his hands shook, addressed the assembly. "We will present the subject with controlled encounters. First we expose it to other species to measure its natural aggression. Then," he hesitated, swallowing hard, "then we introduce the human cadet." A murmur rippled through the chamber. Many thought the reports were lies, exaggerated rumors spread by frightened observers. But tonight, in this station above the death world, they would see the truth with their own eyes. The first test began. The predator was released into a wide arena with armored guards from a reptilian warrior race. The moment the gates opened, the predator attacked, its claws tearing through steel armor as if it were cloth. Screams echoed, blood spilled. Within minutes, the arena floor was littered with bodies. The watchers flinched but did not look away. This was the predator they knew, the nightmare that made even warlords tremble. The second test came. Another species entered, massive insectoid soldiers, their chitin thick as shields. They charged as a swarm, fearless, but the predator tore them apart, one after another, snapping their bodies with merciless precision. The watchers nodded grimly. This was the truth they trusted. No prey could stand against the apex predator. Then came the final test. The doors opened. A small figure stepped into the arena alone. No armor, no weapons, just a boy in cadet uniform, his hand still wrapped in a simple bandage. Thomas. The predator turned at once. Its golden eyes flared with hunger, its chest heaving with rage. The empires held their breath, expecting the boy to be torn apart in a single heartbeat. But then it stopped. The predator's nostrils flared. It caught the scent of blood, faint but familiar. Its muscles stiffened, its claws twitched. The air grew heavy, charged with something deeper than fear. The predator lowered its head, slowly, cautiously. The boy stood frozen, his face pale, but his eyes locked on the beast. The silence stretched until it broke with a sound no one expected, the predator's body collapsing onto the ground. Its chest rose and fell with shallow breaths, its eyes half closed, its massive body limp. It was not dead. It was pretending. Again, the chamber above erupted in chaos. Leaders shouted. Generals slammed fists against the table. Scientists stared wide-eyed at their readings. The data screamed the same result as before. The predator's body was in full submission mode, its instincts forcing it to yield before the human cadet. "This cannot be," one counselor roared. "It fears him," whispered another. "The beast fears him." "Not just him," corrected the lead scientist. His voice trembled as he raised the data. "It fears what he represents. It fears humanity itself." Down in the arena, Thomas took a shaky step forward. His heart thundered in his chest, every instinct screaming to run. But he did not move away. He raised his bandaged hand, the faint smell of blood filling the air. The predator flinched. Then slowly, it turned its head aside, pressing its snout into the dirt, refusing to meet his gaze. Gasps echoed through the watching crowd. The predator was not only playing dead, it was bowing. The galaxy had witnessed the impossible. The strongest. Predator alive, the beast that had never surrendered to any weapon or species, had bowed to a human cadet. One by one, the leaders in the chamber fell silent. Their eyes darkened with fear, their thoughts racing. What would happen when humans brought armies into the stars? What would happen when entire fleets of death-worlders carried this same blood, this same instinct that bent predators to their will? Whispers filled the air. Some spoke of alliances, others of war. A few dared to suggest extermination before humanity grew stronger. But all of them, no matter their opinion, shared one truth. The balance of the galaxy had changed forever. Thomas stood in the arena, staring at the predator's still body. He did not feel powerful. He felt small, overwhelmed, confused, but somewhere deep inside he understood. This moment was bigger than him. This was not about one cadet. This was about humanity, about what they were, about what they would become. High above, the lead scientist whispered words that sent a chill through every heart in the room. The predator was our measure of fear. If it bows to humans, then perhaps humans are the new apex. The chamber fell silent, and far below, the predator remained still, unwilling to rise in the presence of a boy from Earth. The predator lay still, its massive body pressed against the arena floor, its golden eyes half shut. Around it, silence stretched heavy and endless. No one moved. No one dared to breathe too loud. The galaxy's ultimate killer, the beast that had never bowed to any army, was pretending to be dead before a human cadet. Up in the orbital station, the chamber of leaders remained frozen. Generals with medals across their chests, rulers draped. In silks, scientists clutching their datapads, all of them stared at the screen in disbelief. They had come expecting to laugh at rumors, to dismiss the story as human exaggeration, but now they saw the truth with their own eyes. One voice finally broke the silence, sharp and trembling. If even the predator fears them, then what are humans? No one answered. The question itself was too dangerous. Thomas stood in the arena, still as stone. His knees felt weak, his heart beat like thunder, yet he did not look away from the beast. A part of him wanted to run, to escape this nightmare, but another part, deeper, stronger, kept him rooted. He realized he wasn't just standing for himself. He was standing for his species. Slowly, he lowered his injured hand. The faint smell of blood still clung to the bandage, and the predator twitched, pressing its snout deeper into the ground. It would not rise. It would not challenge. It chose silence over combat. The crowd of leaders erupted into chaos. Voices shouted across the chamber, some filled with awe, others with panic. This means humans are more dangerous than we imagined. They must be contained before it's too late. No, they must be allied with. If we resist them, we'll share the predator's fate. Plans of war and whispers of alliance collided in the air. The galaxy's great powers had seen what no one could deny. Earth was not weak, not reckless, not prey. Earth was something else, something new, something terrifying. On Earth itself, the news reached early through hidden channels. At first it was rumors, carried by traders and smugglers. Then the footage leaked. The entire planet saw it, the predator bowing to a cadet. Humanity, long mocked as newcomers to the stars, now watched their image shift overnight. They were no longer questioned. They were feared, but fear and respect walked side by side. Many worlds whispered of hope too. If humanity could tame the predator by its very presence, perhaps they could protect the weak from tyrants. Perhaps Earth could be more than a danger. It could be a shield. The cadets returned from their survival trial as legends. They had expected only a certificate, a passing grade, a step toward becoming officers. Instead, they returned with the eyes of the galaxy upon them. Thomas, in particular, could not escape the weight of it. Wherever he walked, whispers followed. That's the boy who made the predator kneel. But Thomas himself felt none of the glory. In his dreams he still saw the beast's eyes, golden, burning, then bowing. He still felt its breath against his skin. He did not feel like a hero. He felt like a messenger of something far larger, something humanity itself was only beginning to understand. In the halls of alien governments, debates raged. Some demanded Earth be watched closely, its growth slowed, its people kept away from the galaxy's core worlds. Others spoke of pacts and trade, desperate to tie themselves to this rising power, armies trained in secret, fleets prepared. But deep down, every leader carried the same thought. If one cadet could humble the predator, what would happen when entire human fleets arrived? The predator itself was released back into the wild, its chains cut. The scientists wanted to keep it, to study it forever, but the beast refused to live under walls. It returned to the jungle, king of its world once more. Yet even there the change remained. Whenever it caught the faintest trace of human scent, it lowered itself to the dirt, pretending to be dead. The apex predator of the galaxy had learned fear, and it would never forget. The galaxy spread the tale like wildfire. On backwater worlds, merchants retold the story in taverns. In military academies, recruits whispered it with wide eyes. In temples, some even called it a sign that destiny had chosen a new apex, and so the legend grew. Two truths burned into every heart that heard it. 1. Humanity was not to be underestimated. 2. The predator, once the symbol of ultimate dominance, had bowed. On the orbital station, long after the arena was empty and the leaders had left in silence, one recording continued to play in the shadows. The image of the predator, lying still before a boy from Earth, the whisper of a scientist etched into history. If the predator bows to humans, then the galaxy itself may bow next. And with that, a new fear settled across the stars.